3 high schools remain in the same grade configuration. Your educational adequacy. The yellow shows the change in the educational adequacy, so you can see that you've gone, you have the average of 58 now, and phase 1 raises you to 62. Phase 2, proposing retiring Noyes, Edison. Spring Garden will be repurposed in phase 3, but phase 2 it is no longer a middle school. Lake, however, does get repurposed to become the prototype 6-8 middle school for the district. You renovate Central, Parkway, Twain, Ellison, Hosea, Lafayette, and Benton. You expand Lake to accommodate the needs of a new 6-8 middle school. You expand Hosea, you expand Truman, you build a new Northeast Elementary School, K-5. There is what it looks like, and Todd's going to take you on another tour here in just a second. And again, like the last time, you're going to start with buildings that are retired. You see Edison and Noyes are retired. Spring Garden is retired but to be repurposed in the next phase. We'll save that use for the next phase. Lake Contrary changes from an elementary school. It gets an addition and becomes the pilot 6-8 middle school for the district. We'll explain the logic behind this as we go on. Central undergoes its comprehensive renovation for 21st century educational environment. There is a considerable amount of work at Central, and that's summarized in the handouts that you have. Oh, and I might mention about Central. You'll notice that there are some phys ed and athletic facility upgrades that are described as phase 2. We understand that that you might have some opinions upon that, whether phase 2 is soon enough. We expect that you will provide input tonight as to whether or not that's the right phase. Parkway gets renovated, Twain gets renovated, and a 6th classroom addition. Ellison gets renovated. Now the renovations for those 3 are air conditioning and security. Actually, Parkway is going to be air conditioned sooner than that. Hosea gets a 6th classroom addition and is renovated. Benton and Lafayette both undergo some physical education upgrades, turf fields. So that was Benton and Lafayette. Truman gets a gymnasium addition. Truman that's critical for its effectiveness in the future as a middle school. A 10,000 square foot gymnasium addition. And then finally, I believe, a new Northeast Elementary School, K-5, 25 classrooms, a flex classroom for continued growth. So if you could get us back to the PowerPoint, I will summarize where you are at the end of phase 2. You will have gone from our current 16 elementary schools, you will have gone to 13 elementary schools. You will stay at 4 middle schools, however, one of them will be Lake, and it will be the pilot 6-8 middle school. And you'll remain with 3 high schools. Oh, sorry. All right, so that's what I just said. Okay, what does this do to our educational adequacy? Are we achieving the goal that Frank set out of educational excellence delivered cost effectively? You can see the old line, the dotted line, the 58, that's where we started. 62 is what phase 1 got you. And phase 2 gets you almost 69. So we're almost into the satisfactory category. And again, the yellow indicates the improvement made through the renovations, the proposed renovations, and the hollowed out are the facilities that are retired. Phase 3, Bodie and Hyde are retired. Spring Garden is repurposed as a new elementary school. Pickett is repurposed as a new 6-8 middle school. Renovated, Rubidoux and Lafayette are renovated. Pickett, Spring Garden, Ellison, Twain, Parkway, Coleman, Truman, and Rubidoux are expanded. and we build a new Northeast 6-8 middle school. And Todd, if you could take us on the tour to this. Okay, here's the map. First, you will see the proposal for, again, Bodie and Hyde being proposed as retired. Okay. Next slide, if you would. Rubidoux gets renovated, and in addition, to accommodate the programs that are needed, Lafayette undergoes its comprehensive renovation in Phase 3. Benton was 1, Central was 2, Lafayette is Phase 3. Comprehensive renovation for 21st century learning. Spring Garden gets renovated as a new elementary school. And again, I'll explain the logic of that in a moment. Pickett is repurposed as a new 6-8 middle school, and therefore it gets an addition and all of the physical education requirements to make it a suitable middle school. Parkway, Twain, and Coleman get additions so that we have the proper facilities for our enrollment. Next slide, Todd. Ellison also gets an addition so that it can handle the enrollment, because we are reducing the number of overall facilities. Truman gets a second addition, and this is classrooms, so that we can have the proper educational environment for our middle school programs in the middle school. And there is finally a new Northeast Middle School. All right, that's the final. This is the final outcome, what it looks like. Now the next slide is the one that will hopefully shed some light on some of the decisions. That's not the next slide, I'm sorry. I'm wondering if I passed it. No, I didn't. Okay. Just a summary again. You are going from 16 elementary schools to 12. The elementary schools are now K5. Phase 3 makes them all, I'm sorry, you are at K6 now. Phase 3 makes them all K5. You are going from 4 middle schools, grades 7, 8, to a proposed 5 middle schools, 6, 8. We had a lot of discussion about this. Whether it's 5 middle schools at 6, 8 or 4 middle schools at 6, 8, that's a decision, a recommendation that we hope bubbles up from this process. 5 middle schools allows our average enrollment to be about 550. 6 allows it to be something like 680. And so in this plan that is being presented tonight, we are going to 5, but we certainly want your input on that. And the high schools remain unchanged, 3 high schools, grades 9 to 12. A last look at educational adequacy. You see where we are with an average of 58 now. That was the end of Phase 2. At the end of Phase 3, we've taken our district from a borderline district to a satisfactory district, which was one of the goals, one of the biggest goals, if not the biggest goal. Here is the final makeup of facilities. This is the slide that I want to show, and I know this is going to be extremely hard to see. This is a slide of the buildings superimposed over a GIS map. There are 6 different colors of dots there. The dots represent a student in 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 6th grade. And so what you're doing is you're looking at the location of facilities and the dispersion of students. This is the current enrollment, and we've reviewed this against the projected GIS, and they are almost identical. One of the things that you might have wondered about is the repurposing of Spring Garden and Lake Contrary. One of the issues that we felt ought to be addressed in some plan is that there appears to be an overabundance of capacity from the district's perspective in the Southwest at the elementary level.